So we are on our way to the climbing gym, and I'm going to show you exactly how I'd get dogs to settle in public places, and specifically puppies, so that you can get this. So we're just going to be waiting for our tuk-tuk, and then we are good to go. Okay, here we go. So the very first thing that we want to do before taking our dogs out to get them to be still in one place, especially if it's a training session or it's a puppy like Dolly here, and that is physical and mental stimulation, or physical exercise and mental stimulation way before you actually get there. So rather than actually just turning up to the place and driving there, for example, we took the tuk-tuk. On average, it's about a 20-minute walk down. With a puppy, it can take up to about 30. So that for a 5-month-old dog is more than enough to get her to be sort of satisfied before she actually gets there. You don't want to be taking a very high energy dog that has to get out all that energy and then asking them to settle. It's not really fair. So if they're doing something for you, you have to do something for them. As you can see, Dolly is walking absolutely beautifully. Rather than just marching and getting there, what we're going to be doing is splitting up a walk between a nice hill and her walking very nicely to letting Dolly free, good girl, then actually letting her go on snow. If you've got an older dog, you don't need to prioritize this quite as much. But for a puppy, she's very much in the learning stages of her development. And one of the best ways dogs learn about the world is via their nose. So that is the very first thing that I would do with your dog before going there, is physical exercise and mental stimulation, just to sort of burn them out. Not to the point where they are like so exhausted they literally just pass out, but just to get out any outlets they have and get rid of any frustration. I should say as well, when you're dealing with a puppy and you want them to be able to go to places with you, one of the most important things that you start doing as soon as possible is taking your puppy absolutely everywhere with you. So the more places you take your puppy when they're a younger age specifically, the more used to the environments they'll get and the faster they will learn what is expected of them. Now when they go through an adolescent stage, they may start challenging you and causing a bit more problems because they're a teenager and they're starting to think for themselves a little bit more. However, you can install really good habits very early on by simply exposing them to the environment. So if you want your dog to be a cafe dog, there is also a small chance that your dog will just not be happy in cafes. You can force them to do it. However, if you want to increase that chance of getting them to be a cafe or a pub or a bar dog, for example, the more exposure they get, the more resilience they build and the more confidence they build. And that is how you can get a really nice, calm dog. So because I've been working with Dolly from such a young age, her day mainly consisted of 2 major events. One was a very long walk in the morning, where she was free to very much do whatever she wanted, and a bit of training chucked in. Good girl, Dolly. Let's go. Yeah, good job. To get a lot of training in. And then because she had all of her fun time and her outlet and just allowed to be an actual dog, in the morning, in the afternoon, she was absolutely fine to be able to go out to bars and go out to restaurants and cafes and just simply relax. So she just needed that little bit more exercise, and then she was absolutely fine. As you can tell as well, we're in a very high distraction environment. It's very busy, which is great to build up their confidence. There's a lot of loud bikes, a lot of loud cars. So if you can Start your puppy off young in this sort of environment. It will melt massively in other areas. Yeah. So while I did say that one of the first things that you should do is obviously walk and exercise your dog with mental stimulation, you should also go to the area you're going to check it out, good girl, to make sure it's actually good for your dog. It's just a very, very small thing. However, you do want to know that if you're going to a place for your dog, that if there's going to be other dogs there, if there's going to be cats there, is there actually a nice spot or corner that they can just sit and relax in? Is there a beer garden? All of the little small things that you can then make out which would be a very, very good spot for easier training and harder training. And to be honest, you need to gauge your own emotions. So if you go into a very, very busy place, how much work are you willing to put in? And are you going for you or for the dog or for both? So just a small thing to keep in consideration is check out the place and also adjust the difficulty depending on how you're feeling and also how your dog is doing that day. So she's had some water. So now we're going to do a quick warm up while she is sort of just tied up and relaxing. Now the reason we tie her up is so that she can't physically run around and keep getting more and more stimulated. You can practice this at home, which is a very, very helpful thing to do. I call it forced relaxation. Other people call it tethered decompression. But it's pretty much forcing your dog into a state where they can't keep causing trouble and keep getting more and more excited. So now we're going to do a quick warm up while she also relaxes, because she's still riding sort of like a high from the walk and then getting here. So it gives her an opportunity to just calm down. So the important thing about doing this is, while she is relaxing and I'm moving around her, we're not actually interacting together. She's simply observing but staying down, nice and calm. The other thing to note, I haven't forced her into this position. This is sort of a position that I expect. While I can do obedience to tell her down and stay, for me, I much rather prefer to build habits in dogs, so you don't end up having to ask them to do anything. They just do it without asking. So I should say this as well. If your dog is struggling to simply do this after their walk, practice doing it at home. So you go for a walk, you come back, you do this, you do stuff around them, you just get them to relax. Give them about 5 minutes to settle in back at home, and tie them up, and then just practice this. Really, really useful skill for puppies. For puppies and just all dogs in general. Is just teaching them that they can just relax without interacting with everything. Better to practice it now when they are way easier to control and calm down than when they're teenagers and they're a bit more pushy. While I warm up, I did want to clarify a few things. As you just saw, I did interact with her, and this is absolutely fine. When she laid it down, I said, good job. It's super important to let them know that they are doing the right thing. But we want to do it in a calm way and not over the top that creates more excitement. We want them to feel safe and confident so that they can relax on their own. And by doing too much and too much interaction with them, it can have the opposite effect. While I don't normally use obedience in this situation, there are some dogs that 100% need more guidance or clear directions in order to be successful. To teach them what we are looking for and what they should be doing, so you can adjust this to your individual dog if they need more guidance or whether they can figure out on their own. As a pet dog trainer, I feel like the less micromanagement we need to do with our dogs, the better, and we want dogs to make the right choices, and we want to reward them when they do the right thing. Now you'll see everything I talked about in this video starting to come together. Our friends arrived, so she went over and said hi, and then we set up for climbing. I found a good location for her, a bit more out the way from the foot traffic, a table that she'll feel comfortable under, And then with tethered decompression, so while she's tied up down there, I can go and kite. Because we practice this a lot and practice it at home, she knows what to do. And as there's another dog here, I didn't bring any high value treats, but that is something you can definitely do. Something for her to chew, like a deer antler or a buffalo horn, can be amazing for once they've settled. If you did find this video helpful, please do consider subscribing, as we are close to 1,000. And if you are struggling with training, leave a comment and I will make a video specifically trying to help you and the problem you're currently having with either your dog or your puppy.